Hello and welcome to Roots and Wings Unscripted. We've recently just come out of a studio in Brighton. Shout out to Salvation Music Studios. Insane place. I honestly love the whole thing. And what did you think when you first walked in? Because I have some points.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right. So when I came in, right. So we've gone to studios before to record one of our singles. What You're Gonna Do, and of course, it was good. But I think we're obviously looking for the next step. So we went up to Brighton, got in, and I don't know about you, Al, mate, but there are a few things I look for when you go into a room. And one of the things I think if you see, you're like, okay. We walk in and I saw a open casket, isn't it? Yeah. Grand Yamaha piano, right?
A piano, yeah.
And I was like, ooh, that's a hefty penny, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, this is pretty good. So straight away I was thinking, I like the room, yeah? What do you think?
To me is when we met Russell, the owner of Salvation Studios, and you remember when he showed me that picture of David Gilmour, and he said that he recorded there before he sold his like iconic black Strat that he used on like anything that Pink Floyd's ever done. He's used it, and now he sold it, so that's not particularly ideal, but I think what it is.
Do you remember he was saying, like, and this was quite funny, he was saying, like, I mean, this is just obviously my thoughts about the studio as well, and I thought it was pretty awesome. But the way he was like, he went, oh, by the way, he went, so he has like obviously many studios, word for word basically. This in the way he said, this guy's just minted, right? So he's got loads of money, right? So then he goes to me and he goes, so he went to Studio 1, Studio 2, and he literally said, oh, I'm not feeling it, right? So then he just went, and bear in mind, this studio I went to, he went, why don't we go to Salvation? And I'm just thinking, how cool is that? You got,
to just know, like, I'll just go hit up my buddy Russell and we'll just do a couple of hours at Salvations. I thought, it's insane. But that's kind of the thing that got me the most when we just walked in and you just get the talk, because that's naturally the first thing you do. You just walk in, you have a look at where you're at, or you have a look at the studio. But I just thought, just the fact that we were in there in that time, and I then get to speak to Russell, who's got pictures of when David Gilmour and stuff does what he does, and it's just someone pinch me type moment where it's just like, this is not real. And the fact that when it came to using Russell's first guitar, a 1970s Gibson, that you probably have to mortgage it to just be able to afford it. I mean, at least me.
Do you know what's quite symbolic as well, right? Is that obviously we were just talking about David Gilmour, and then all of a sudden I see in the corner of my eye a rainbow. Yeah, I see a rainbow come through the window, and it was like, Pink Floyd are with us.
How mental was that? Just
that was pretty mental. I think as well, it was quite cool, right? Is that so obviously. Something about us, right? So I'm the drummer in the band, and obviously Al's the multi-talented singer and guitarist, right?
I do two things at once.
I was paid to say that, right? I didn't have to say that, right?
I didn't pay.
And basically he then went to me and went, essentially, go try the drums. So I went in, played the drums, and the moment I hit them, it was like, boom, just nothing. It just dissipated instantly. And I was just like,
well, you'd think that out of all of that, that's the least of their sort of. Well, I mean, they definitely put quite a bit of money into that, because, it's a multi-million-pound place. So I would be surprised if you hit the drums and it didn't go duh.
Oh yeah, but like you got to think, right? Like compared to the last studio in, right? No, obviously no hate. It was good. It was just for our quality of songs, right? It was like, oh my god, I've never experienced something like that. So, I will say though, there were a few things we didn't consider, right? So this is like the challenges we had to consider, right? So, for me, I think it was we'd obviously recorded the tracks to clip, right, and then played them in the studio properly. And the thing was, I think we underestimated, like, there's click support, and then there's obviously band tightness with the click. And although we were tight,
and there's knowing when the song starts and how it starts, Toby.
Yeah. Well,
and this is totally not a hidden reference.
Yeah, sure.
It's not hidden. It's fucking public.
Well, I was right. Just saying.
Yeah,
so,
just wrong. Yeah. But it was strange
sure.
though, because that's the thing, and you've got me to blame for that, because the intro of that song, the way that it starts with a sort of off click, because we were debating that in the many takes that we've had to try and achieve, that it wasn't on the beat, but it also wasn't off. It was just in between. It wasn't even in between. It was in between the three and the 4, but even also.
It was like a 30-second note.
Yeah,
difference.
but it was in between, because you would do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It was in between the 3 and 4, but also in between the and.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like split 3 and in half. Split the and in half, and then the song
it was
starts.
literally like it was like a
mental.
30-second. It was.
Well, there you go.
So
we've got proof of that.
Yeah.
I don't like to write 1, 2, 3, 4. There's got to be something different. And if it fucks up with your playing,
I mean, let's be honest as well, right? This is all coming back to you counting. 1, 2. He never goes past 2. It's always 1, 2.
In Italy,
no
the education system has failed me. I can't count past 2. It's got to be.
But I think though, on that topic as well, like not the Italian system.
I count like this. I count like kids, where you go, what's after 3, and you go 20.
Yeah.
That's why I'll count.
I mean,
1,
you're
2,
technically
56,
not wrong.
23. No, I'm technically not wrong.
But no, I think the other thing was, as I say, we couldn't get this start right, so we had to additionally sort of, for the studio, we had to decide one of the songs to be off click. So we were lucky because the song we played off click was quite. We had practiced it quite a bit, so when it came to not playing it on with the click, it was almost like we were basically there. But I mean, I mean, it took us. I
wouldn't say we were basically there, but that's probably out of the 3 songs that we've done the most. The song that required most takes from all of us, though. Yeah, I think it was the more, because from a guitar point of view as well, it was quite specific in the way that it needed to sound, but also in the way that you were to play it. It's got to be crystal clear, because the minute there's that one discrepancy or that mistake or the minute is slightly different, that's when it just throws the whole thing off. It was a very, oddly speaking, it's the opposite of what we discussed. It was a very linear track in the sense of everything had to be metronomic, minus the start. But that's kind of what I thought was the more challenging part for me. But I don't know, because after that I thought, and it was also the first song that we started recording, so you kind of got to go past the red light fever there, and got to go past the red light fever, I think, and just get on with it. And
I think the another challenge, right, I felt, but it was a good challenge, was that obviously the engineers we had, like Lewis, Cameron, right, shout out to those boys, legends, right, they were so good, because they wouldn't, they were straight to the point, no nice chat, right, they were like, it's not good enough, do it again, right. So I was thinking, we'd done a perfect take or something, and they'd be like, no, do it again. It was like brilliant. You need someone in your camp, or at least someone in the studio to tell you. So it's a challenge, but I would say, like, if you're gonna go to studio and you're gonna do it properly, right, you need someone who's honest. And if they're not offering that honest opinion, you need to get it. You need to ask for it, right? But I mean, something to talk about, right, is the gear they had, right? Obviously, for me,
I mean, yeah, from that standpoint, I think it was just from start to finish, anything that you do decide to record in there, they had just insane everything. Yeah. And I just think to hear that in comparison to everything else that we've had done before, I just thought, it's one of those situations where you walk in, you hit the snare drum, or you hit the bass drum, or you hit a chord on the guitar, and you hit a note on the bass, and it's just, you're just looking at each other like, it's gonna sound good.
I think
it did.
Yeah. I think as well, the other thing, right, was so obviously I was fortunate to play on a 70s Ludwig, I believe that was it, and just the beefiness of that bass drum was,
even though I wanted you on the Gretsch,
huh?
Even though I wanted you on the Gretsch,
there's no way I'm not playing a Ludwig,
solid,
right? No.
You could have double bass drum. You could have had Gretsch on the left and Ludwig on the right.
Yeah, I think the engineers probably would have battered me if I said, "Can I have two bass drums?" Right? Or they would have been like, "You."
It was so meticulously set up, just tight and just there.
I honestly, I was putting myself right because obviously every time I moved, I was like, I beg, I do not move this microphone, because the moment I do, right, it was like sort of a sixth impulse. I'd just see Lewis, the engineer, sort of sit up and go, "Snares moved." And he just like zoomed out of the engineer room, come in and go, "Right, let me just make that adjustment there, right?" And then he'd go, "Okay, cool." And then every time I'd adjust the snare, he'd come back. I mean, he was meticulous. He was brilliant. Yeah.
It was insane. Yeah. But I just think, in general, even for what we recorded, I think everything in there, I mean, and I took advantage of that, as you said. As you remembered.
Yeah.
But we all did, because, you went through 3 snares.
Yeah.
Two different types of cymbals. I've gone through 2 amps and 3 guitars, because I had my PRS line underneath all of it. And then I thought that 1970s telly was just, it was a 1970s telly, and I think it was a 75 Gibson. But it was just, when I found out that was Russell's first guitar, and I just, you walk into a music shop and if they are lucky enough to even have that guitar in there, probably going to be somewhere around 10 to 15 grand if you look at it. I'm probably wrong, but it's probably more, but I just thought it is insane. But we had that, and it just goes to show that it plays such a massive part in the whole process. It's not just what
one thing you're missing, and you've got to tell them about the JCM 800.
Oh mate,
right, you've missed the crucial thing.
That Marshall was just insane.
He's like a little boy when it turned on,
and I could feel my whole body shaking, and it just like.
And this was
I made a coffee, and well, Russell made a coffee for me, and it was just sitting next to the amp, and you could just see the top layer just sort of shake. It was insane. You felt it through everywhere, but I think you'll fit in Fall in Line. We use that in Fall in Line.
Yeah,
and it's the whole main sort of underlying rhythm part.
Yeah.
It's just, oh my god, it's something else, and it made the track. I'm happy to say it made the track, because it wouldn't have been anywhere near as good as it is now as if I went through something else. And I just completely went back to basics. It's just one guitar, one cable, and one amp, and it's all plugged in. Nothing else. No extra additional effects. No nothing. Just you, the player, the guitar, and the Marshall, and it just sounded insane. And I think that's gonna probably be something that probably be our signature sound in that sense of having that. But I don't know. I mean, just thought it was insane.
Speaking of which, should we talk about how the songs were? Right.
I think,
like,
out of our whole
what's your
discography,
favorite? What's the favorite from the night?
See, that's the trouble with it, is I think we have so much that just. I have a favourite for each song. I don't think I have a favourite song, because if I were to say, oh, Fall in Line is my favourite, or The Ants is my favourite.
But like, what was the one that you thought turned out the best? I have mine.
I think for me was No Idea.
Oh really?
Yeah. Because I just thought from the BVs to see, now even saying it, I'm just like, what is it though? Yeah. I love them all to bits. Every single part, but it's just I think what I worked out is that every single song is different to me in my head to what I like about them. Fall in Line is just big, beefy, crunchy sound. Yeah. No Idea.
In case you guys are wondering, right, these are songs that we've done. So like, these are singles that we're working on, right? But so we've got at the moment, these are the placeholder names. We've got some of them we're thinking about, but most, like, we've got Fall in Line, which is the one we just spoke about. We've got No Idea, and got another one called The Answer. Right, this is another one as well. And we're just basically, so one thing I gathered from the studio, right, which was the crispness and quality. And I think some songs, and this is something I gathered from a big proper studio, right, is some of the songs naturally progress better, and I think you only gauge that from the studio, right? And that's one thing I gauged, is that some of the songs actually did better, like my opinion, right? So this song called The Answer, right, you'll hear soon, right? I thought that positioned itself way better from recording in the studio. I think, like No Idea, it was layered really well, but I think all the parts consistently on No Idea.
Yeah, they all just
massive.
Made sense. I mean, I have to say that at the end of the answer, that's like those 6 seconds of whatever it is. It's like my baby of like 10 different vocal lines.
Yeah.
I channeled my inner Freddie Mercury on that one, my inner Queen, and it's just it was insane. I have to be honest, I don't know how I got there, but I warmed up for about 15-20 minutes, and I just, those high head voice lines, I just thought they were so satisfying. They were not fun, and the thing that I did wrong is that I should have started off with that, or I should have had that, because we did all those 3 songs sort of almost in unison, in the sense that we did all the guide tracks for them first, all the live recording. We recorded it live, which was another insane outcome that made. I think made those songs, but I should have had it at least to start with, or in the middle, rather than keeping. I think that's the one we did last. Yeah. And by then my voice was just so. It was definitely. I'm pretty sure it was last, because I think we did Fall in Line, No Idea, and then The Answer, I think. But it was somewhere, because we did the vocals at the end.
Oh, vocals, yeah. I'm thinking
we stripped everything down and we did the vocals all at the end. So it was just about 2 hours where it was just vocals constantly, and it wasn't. All of the lead lines for me were perfectly fine. It was just it was just those BVs that just fit so well. But it was just. I
mean, it was also as well for me, like as we mentioned before, the engineers, right? It's so another thing you gauge. There's like this expression, right? It's not expression, but it's like you pay for perfection, you pay for professionalism, right? So like obviously we've tried our end with mixing, right? And of course so Al's done a bit of the mixing, and you just go to Lewis, the engineer there, and Cameron, obviously, of course, there, and he was just like, "Oh, I think it could use a bit more of this," and they're like, "Yeah, right, Jules, do that." Blah 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 blah, done.
Yeah, and it was all like something that they done in 30 seconds. It would have probably taken me 6 months to.
What was it? The cutting. It was like, oh yeah.
It was uncanny.
They were joking about how easy it was, and if I was doing it, I'd be profusely sweating. I'd be crying. I'd be like,
it was perfect. I just thought the whole thing, start to finish, was just insane. But this is why we decided to start this, because I think there's a lot of things that happen that you might not get to see or hear the stories of, and I just think we're doing something that's completely unscripted, completely just tell a story, tell an experience. And what we're actually going to start doing is we're going to start putting in questions at the end, a section where we just, any questions that you send us in, we'll get them answered on the following episodes. But thank you everybody for joining us on Roots and Wings Unscripted. I kept calling it Uncensored.
Yeah, he's
I don't know why.
Honestly.
We decided on the title like
thank God he's not paid
2 minutes
for this.
before we went on it.
Right.
But man, I don't think you can pay me. But that can take a straight turn, like a strange turn. Yeah. Roots and Wings Uncensored. Yeah, I feel like it'll go.
But we won't go any further. We'll leave that one for you guys to understand. Yeah,
it'll be a very interesting search history. But thank you everybody for tuning up, and we'll see you on the next one.
Rock on.